Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, dear friends. Welcome to Kardec Radio. My name is Nora Brazil. I'm the host of this program, Soothing Pills of Trust, by the book Pills of Trust by Dr. Diaz de Cruz and Ade Morera. So again, it's so beautiful to be here, right? As we are nourishing our souls. That is what we do here at Kardec Radio, right? Not only this program, but there's so many programs that we can watch and really nourish ourselves, right, from the inside. So, anywho, friends, before we continue, let's say our prayer. Dear Mother, Father, God, thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you for an opportunity to be here and for all the hardships and the blessings that have come into our days hand in hand. They're so important for us to continue moving forward and finding our place in this life. We ask that you bless us with the discernment for today's lesson, as it's a great reminder that there's nothing more beautiful than to be in surrender and gratitude, and we ask permission from the spirits to begin this meeting. And so be it, friends. So we are on chapter 21, Surrender and Gratitude. And I do want to apologize. I am recording this from home, and so I might not make it on time today, friends. We are back in person teaching, so it's a little different. I always say I have to go home and do like a COVID detox, and that does take a while. So I apologize for this, but you know, it's best to be safe, right? And also we do have to follow our guidelines in our place of employment. So when I think of the word, especially surrender and gratitude, and this gratitude thing, you know, it's so current nowadays, you know, with everything that is happening. It's so hard for us to lose our place, you know, with so much hardships going on, with so much of this stuff happening. And, you know, we can find ourselves just like, you know, kind of like complaining and like, right. And it's justifiable. We are humans. We're having a human experience. And, you know, but at some point, friends, we have to step back and find a way to say, okay, okay, what am I doing here? And so I started to track myself, part of the awareness, right, that I was doing this more frequently, where I was not being a place of gratitude, but rather I was like, I was in a very different vibration. Point being is that I had to be like, okay, well, what do I need to do in order for me to find myself in a place of gratitude? Well, in the mornings, I have a routine, and it's when I wake up, I think of one or two things that I'm grateful for. But also throughout the day, it's so important, especially when we find ourselves not trusting, when we find ourselves just having such a difficult time, right? Okay, it's time to take a breather, step back and say, okay, what am I grateful for? Okay, so those are the things that, you know, everybody has a different way to find themselves, to put themselves back on track, right? Because we are human and it's okay. And so this chapter is really going to expand a little bit more on that. So it begins with the relationship between God and our being is shrouded in paramount particularities, right? So this relationship, I mean, there's two or more, and we think of God, of course, it's everything, right? And so, yeah, it's going to be between two or more. We're all connected, but beautifully how it says between God and our being, it's almost like our existence. So, you know, it's okay for us to look at our relationships, of course, the way we have relationships here on earth, because it makes it so relatable. It makes him easy to tune in, right? But think about the relationship that is talking about is something that's inside. It's something that's innate, that comes, right? And it's interesting. It says shrouded in paramount particularity. So it's covered in these characteristics that are supreme, that seem so surreal, because we are still in our journey. We're still have so much to go. And so for us, that's the way we perceive it. And that's okay, you know, because we want the spirits to communicate with us in language and ideas and concepts that we're able to understand, and we are in these bodies so that we can move on forward. Then it says, finding ourselves so close to the Supreme Source, humankind pleads to be noticed by it. yet feels so distant from it. It is the ego's layer of defense awash in the illusion of materialism that does not allow for our profound perception of the divine source, except when our being rids itself of its own demands in order to accept its circumstances and accept divine inspiration. So the takeaway from this, it's that idea, it's innate for us to want to connect to the divine, right? It says there, we want to be connected, yet though we feel really, really distant. And it's not for us to be discouraged, because, the point of us to be studying is not to be in that place. It's really for us to connect back to God and to say, okay, I have lots and lots of work to do. And that's it, right? It's not telling us, you're never going to make it. No, that's not the right attitude. It's all in the attitude. And when we read literature, it's also super important for us to be in that place, right? So it's really to tell us, okay, it's a beautiful metaphorical sentence there. You are pleading yet so distant, but okay, come on. It's okay. Come on. So what is it that I need to do, right? So if you're like me, okay, you're telling me this. Okay, what do I do? So it says there, careful with the ego. Careful, right? That ego sometimes, that ego does get in the way. And so, it's interesting. I went to the Bible, and there are many verses in the Bible, friends, if you want to go and search, but there's so many verses that really help us figure out our ego, you can say, right? And I really particularly love this verse in James 4, verses 14 and 15 says, "Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that." Okay? So when we are in this place of ego, we think we're all this and that and so forth, right? And again, that's part of the process. But at some point, we're going to have to come in terms that, no. And so look at how beautiful the Bible puts it. Like, just think about this. It's like you can, from little time and then, we vanish. And so we really see that it's up to the Lord's will. And that starts to really, change our perception, and how this is going to inspire us to continue having this relationship with the source, right? As we are reading. And then it says, just as the wheat is transformed into blessed bread, it is essential to die and renounce in order for our being to better know its destiny. In the same way that a seed may germinate and flourish, it is necessary for our being to get used to the weight of the soil, which will momentarily enclose it and nourish it with life. What can we get from this? It's simply stating, friends, that it's like the circle of life, right? We think about the seeds, right? And how it has the whole process for the seed and how it needs to go through its mechanisms, okay? So it's that, and what do seeds symbolize? What do they represent? Life and cycles and new birth and so forth, right? And so when we think about this, we have to find ourselves, at least from what I get, maybe you might find something different from this, which is great. But the way I see it is finding ourselves in this state of transformation, of growth, of constant renewal, right? Having a lot of these metaphorical life and death experiences within one existence is so beautiful. And of course, in the Law of Progress, in the Spirit's book, there's a plethora of information there. But I particularly wanted to point out questions 783, which says, does the improvement of humanity always follow a progressive and slow march? Right? And it says, there is a regular slow progress that inevitably results from circumstances. But when a population does not advance quickly enough, God creates a physical or moral shock that hastens its transformation. So this is important for us because, yes, we're talking about, we are doing a lot of the self-work. We're doing everything, but at the same time, we have to come to realization that God is behind all of this. Okay, so he's making sure that things are going. And I also particularly love, this part of the Spirit's book where it says slow progress, because, sometimes we can get discouraged as we're moving along. We might not see results fast enough, but it's okay. It's part of the process, but we're not alone. And that's beautiful. And also it's a self-check for our ego, like, hold up, yes, we do a lot of the self-work, but there is a divine force behind it. It says, human beings cannot remain unaware forever because they must reach the goal God set for them. Circumstance enlightens them gradually. Moral revolutions, like social revolutions, are introduced into the minds of the nation slowly. They continue to evolve for centuries and suddenly sprout, toppling the crumbling structure of the past that is no longer in harmony with the goals and objectives of a new day. Human beings often perceive only the fleeting chaos and confusion that affect them in their material interests, but those who raise their thoughts above themselves admire the divine planning that brings good out of evil. Such commotions are like a storm that purifies the atmosphere after disturbing it. What a text, not only for ourselves, but contemporary times, right? Where we have to understand that we are in this progress collectively, and things are happening outside of us, but they are here by God's grace. So we still, friends, have to try really hard to remind ourselves this is part of the progress, this is part of the growth. And what is my part? What do I need to do to help, to collaborate, right? And so I thought this was a very, very interesting way of also seeing the idea of us growing and moving on. All right, the next thing, it says, in the same way that beings may intimately know God, it is necessary to consider that before supreme wisdom and intelligence, there are only two internal postures that are healthy for surrendering to our Father: trust and gratitude. So now, after the spirits took us from defining the relationship, the issue is our ego, and reminding us that in order for us to rid of our egos, we have to remind ourselves that God is in control of everything. Now He's given us this beautiful tool. Okay, well, just trust, be in trust and in gratitude. Release and let go, right? God is taking care of it. This can be very difficult for a lot of us. It's hard. Of course it is. I had a situation today at work. It was very difficult, right? And I had to take a deep breath, say, okay, God, trust and be in gratitude that everything that needed to happen was important to happen, right? And imagine, we start to do this not only with everything that's happening collectively, right, as a society, as a nation, but also within ourselves. So, Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 6.4 says, from this, it is possible for man to understand that he deserves all his sufferings and to believe that this is just. He also learns that his suffering and pain will help him to progress, and so is able to accept it without complaining, just as a worker accepts the work which will guarantee his salary. Spiritism gives man an unshakable faith in the future, so that he is no longer troubled by this consuming doubt within his soul. He is also enabled to see things from high on high, which makes the importance of his earthly vicissitudes disappear on the vast and splendid horizon which Spiritism sets before him. The prospect of the happiness which awaits therefore gives him patience, resignation, and courage to continue to the end of his path, right? So as we study Spiritism now, it's like, hey, it's okay, right? It's the pain and the suffering is to help us progress now. So when we start to really understand this and take it in daily, as many times as we have to, and keep repeating it, our trust and gratitude, they start to shift. It starts to change. We start to realize, oh, wait a minute. If this happens, it's not because God doesn't love me, I'm being punished, or He wants to set me apart, right? Those are things that our ego is coming in and telling us. No, on the contrary, these are things to get us closer to God. These are experiences that we are to learn, grab onto them. And as we are doing this, right, our trust and gratitude, they start to expand. And it's a beautiful thing when we start seeing it. And again, It's not easy. Of course not. And for me to stay here, let me tell you, friends, I have to do this multiple times a day, constantly reminding myself. In order for me to be in this trust and gratitude, though, I do have to be in accordance and understand in my heart, right? That everything that's happening is for this progress that, is here to help us. All right. So by listening to one's own heart beyond our superficial emotionality, our being may find divine inspiration in life and the necessary orientation for its efforts and its strength. We will receive guidance through intuition and the capacity for capturing and feeling God's divine presence, which vibrates and emanates from the inner recesses of our being and from nature. And notice, friends, you're listening, inspiration, orientation, intuition, capturing and feeling, vibrates and emanates, inner recesses. All these things, friends, lead us to one path, right? Which is the path of prayer, to pray. Okay, so now it's like to pray. And, there's so many ways to pray. I mean, some of us, depending, people like to get on their knees. Some people do it while walking, in the shower, while cooking, constantly thinking. There's so many ways. There's not one way, friends. So we need to really explore with this concept, like, what does pray mean to me? And the spirits will guide us to figure out what it is, right? They're here to help us. It's really on us to really say, okay, let's work on this. And we find our way. And is it going to be easy? No. But if, studies show, like, if we do have it over and over again, eventually they become part of us, right? And so, we practice and we practice. And, I don't know, friends, if this has happened to you, especially with, I know Kardec Radio has a 5 p.m. prayer, but maybe some of us are also part of other prayer groups or groups that meet, to study and pray. And when, excuse me, friends, it's my fault. And so then, when we don't attend, right, don't we feel that void? Because our souls are connected to this, because our souls, are made for this. And we've trained ourselves over and over. Like, let's do this. So it's kind of the same thing. And isn't it beautiful for us to be equipped that way as well? So to finish it off, the question is, what are some ways to trust and surrender? These are some ways that I was here thinking throughout the day. Like, okay, how can I do it? For sure is to practice patience. And that one in itself is a tough one. But let's just like I gave the example, for me at least, maybe for you it might be the same. Everybody's so different, but right, we practice something eventually. It just little by little, friends. Seek silence, right? When we listen, we really start to understand, and we get a lot of answers if we listen. It's beautiful. Listen to intuition, right? Also, we're continuing to listen, to be grateful, to tune into love, let it go. Most definitely increase our self-awareness, which we are doing, tuning into Kardec Radio, reading the Spirit's book, building, relationships that are going to help us, and so forth. And so a question for the week now is, to end this study, what do you do to trust and surrender, right? If this was a classroom, we would all be talking and sharing our ideas of what do we do to surrender and to trust, right? So these are the things. Once again, I love this chapter, the way it took us, right, to understand it's in our relationship with God, right? And in order for us to get that relationship going, we need to let go of our ego, okay? And it's okay. We are human. We're here to grow, to progress. What do we need to do? We need to pray, to find ourselves in prayer and keep working. And then, little by little, friends, eventually we will get there. We cannot give up. And to think that our place today is crucial on this planet, on this earth, with our families, relationships, friends, job. We are here for a purpose. So let's trust and surrender and just say, God, I know I know. I trust you. And I just do that, right, friends? So, with that said, thank you, friends, so much for this. We were not able to sing. I wish, let me see, maybe we can sing a cappella because I don't have my, give me 1 minute, friends, my guitar at work. All right, so let's sing a cappella. It is Well With My Soul. This is like my ultimate favorite song when I'm feeling like I need to surrender, I need to be in a place of gratitude. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, Thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul. All right. So let's say our prayer as we're entering the weekend, friends. Let's think about the ways that we can surrender and be in gratitude. Dear Mother, Father, God, thank you so much for this beautiful lesson. Thank you for the perspective that you are giving us, for giving us more tools that we can collect and that we can put inside our little toolbox, that we can walk around in this path, this journey. Thank you for creating us just the way we are. Thank you for loving us, for taking care of us, and for always knowing that we are connected with you. We ask that you help us, that you restore our souls to where they need to be restored, that you help us understand our place at all levels in our lives, here to fulfill our missions, and that we may do it with lots of gratitude and a heart humbled and joyful to do the good. Please protect us as we go out, and we ask permission from the spirits to end this meeting. And thank you so much, friends. A huge hug for all of you. Please stay safe, all right? And we'll see you next week. Bye.